The bright lights above me flickered as my vision grew blurry. I held the podium tighter, trying not to fall while 40 people stared at me from the conference room. Something was very wrong. And as you can see from the Q3 numbers, my voice shook. The slides on the screen started to blur into spinning colors. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it wanted to break free from my chest. My name is Amy, and I was dying in the middle of the biggest presentation of my career. "Miss Shawn, are you okay?" someone asked from the back. I tried to answer, but no words came out. The room spun sideways. The next thing I saw was the ceiling swirling above me as I collapsed. Shouts filled the room. "Call 911. Is she breathing? Clear the room." My assistant Laura's face came into view, tears mixing with her mascara. "Amy, stay with us. The ambulance is coming." I tried to reach for my phone, but my arms felt heavy as stone. Call my parents," I whispered before everything went black. The next thing I felt was cold, endless cold. I heard doctors speaking quickly, using words like irregular heartbeat and emergency surgery. "Please," I begged a nurse as she prepared my phone. "I need to call my family." She paused, then gave me my phone. My shaking hands dialed my mother's number. Straight to voicemail. I tried my father, same result. I sent desperate texts. "Mom, I'm in the hospital." "Dad, please answer. They're taking me to surgery." "I'm scared." The nurse gently took my phone away. "We need to go now, honey. They'll be here when you wake up." But they weren't. When I opened my eyes hours later in the ICU, the only sounds were the steady beeps of the monitors. I was alive, but alone. Laura had left me a note saying she'd be back in the morning, but the hospital only allowed close family after hours. Close family? What a joke. At 2 a.m., a night nurse came to check my vitals. She had kind eyes and a gentle touch as she fixed my four. "Your mother left a voicemail earlier," she said, handing me my phone. "Do you want to hear it?" I nodded, a small hope rising inside me. "Hi, sweetie. We got your messages, but we can't come right now. Betty is upset about the color of her new apartment walls. She's falling apart over it. You know how she is. We'll try to come tomorrow if she feels better. Love you." The nurse's face said everything. I turned away, tears burning my cheeks. "Would you like me to call someone else for you?" she asked softly. A memory hit me. Last Christmas, I wrote a $85,000 check to cover Betty's debt. Mom barely noticed. She was too busy helping Betty line up her new designer handbags. "Thanks, Amy. You're such a good sister." Good sister. Good daughter. Always good. I wiped my eyes and turned back to the nurse. "Yes. Please hand me my phone. I need to call my lawyer." She passed it to me, her face worried. My hands were steady now as I scrolled through my contacts and pressed call. "Matthew, it's Amy. I know it's late, but I need you. Bring the papers, all of them." "Yes, I'm sure. I'm in the ICU at Mount Si." "No, my family isn't here. That's exactly why I'm calling." After I hung up, I stared at the ceiling, the sound of the heart monitor matching my new resolve. I had almost died today, and my sister's pain drama had mattered more to them. 21 years of the same memories hit me like a wave. Betty throwing fits at my graduation. My parents skipping my company's launch because Betty had a bad date. All the times I cleaned up her chaos while my own successes sat ignored. My phone buzzed. A new Facebook post. Betty, smiling with our parents, all three of them holding up paint swatches. The caption read, "Worst day ever. Thank God for family support. Crisis life." I shut off my phone and closed my eyes. Something sharp and cold formed inside me. It wasn't my failing heart this time, it was determination. Tomorrow, Matthew would help me take apart everything I had built for them. And for once in my life, I wouldn't feel guilty. At 10 a.m. sharp, Matthew arrived, his briefcase packed with documents. He took one look at me, hooked up to machines and still pale from surgery, and his calm lawyer face broke. "Dylan, Amy, you look awful." "Thanks. Always knew you'd be honest." I gave him a weak smile. "Did you bring everything?" He pulled up a chair and spread papers across my bedside table. "Everything you asked for." But are you sure? This is extreme. My heart literally stopped yesterday, and my family was too busy choosing paint colors to care. I'd say extreme is exactly what's needed. Matthew's jaw tightened as he nodded. We'd been friends since college, and he had seen my family's behavior many times. All right, let's start with the will changes. For the next hour, we worked through the documents step by step. My signature grew stronger with each page, like my hand knew this was the right choice even if my chest still hurt. So, your parents are officially removed as beneficiaries, Matthew said, sorting the papers. Next is ending their access to your accounts, the ones that cover Betty's lifestyle. A memory came back, last summer in my parents' kitchen, holding Betty's credit card bill. It's only $70,000 this time, Mom had said, not even looking up from her magazine. You know how hard things have been for her since that breakup. Do it, I told Matthew. All of it. He pulled out another stack. And the vacation house. Should I list it today? Yes. My parents spend every summer there. Not anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Betty picked the perfect shade of sage. Crisis over. How are you feeling, sweetie? I showed Matthew. He let out a low whistle. That's something. Watch this, I said, opening the family group chat. My fingers flew. Still in ICU after emergency heart surgery. Thanks for asking. So glad Betty's walls are sage instead of seafoam. Totally worth missing your daughter, almost dying. Matthew raised an eyebrow. You're poking the bear. More like waking it up. They've lived in denial for too long. My phone lit up with replies. Mom, don't be dramatic, Amy. The doctor said you're stable. Dad, we'll visit soon. Betty, OMG, why are you making my apartment crisis about you? I flipped the phone face down. Keep going with the papers, Matthew. By noon, we had everything ready to legally cut my family off from my money. Matthew was packing up when the door burst open and my friend Jessica walked in, holding real coffee and looking furious. I just saw Betty's Instagram story, Jessica said, handing me the coffee. She's doing a full home renovation reveal. Tagged it New Beginnings Family Support. Not one word about her sister almost dying yesterday. Of course not, I said, taking a sip. That would mean admitting someone else exists. I've got the papers ready to file, Matthew said, standing. But I'll hold them until tomorrow, give you time to think. I shook my head. File them now. I've had 39 years to think. After they left, I scrolled my phone again. Betty had posted another story, a boomerang of her twirling in her fresh-painted living room. Mom and Dad clapped in the background. The caption read, "Sometimes it takes a village." So grateful for parents who drop everything to help in a crisis. Blessed. Family first. My fingers hovered over the comment button. Instead, I opened my email and wrote to my entire contact list. Dear friends and colleagues, I'm in the ICU at Mount Si after emergency heart surgery. I'm stable now, but it was a close call. I'm not sharing this for sympathy, but to explain why I'll be out of office for a while. I'm also sharing because I learned something important yesterday. Sometimes the people who should be there for you aren't, and sometimes that's the wake-up call you need. Best. Amy. I hit send, then powered off my phone. Let them deal with the fallout of their own choices. I was done hiding it. A nurse came in to check my vitals and glanced at the papers Matthew had left. Big decisions today? Life-changing ones, I said. Your heart rate's much stronger, she noted, watching the monitor. I looked out at the Chicago skyline, feeling lighter than I had in years. Yeah, I said. I think it finally remembered how to beat for itself instead of for everyone else. She patted my hand and left. In the silence of the room, I could almost hear bridges burning. And it sounded like freedom. For days after my surgery, my parents finally showed up. Mom swept in, wearing her trademark Hermes scarf and holding a bouquet that probably cost more than my hospital bill. Dad followed, looking stiff and out of place. Oh, darling, Mom exclaimed, as if she were greeting me for brunch instead of visiting her daughter after heart surgery. These hospital lights are terrible for your skin. Nearly dying tends to do that. I said flatly. Dad cleared his throat. Now, Princess, no need for that tone. We're here now. 5 days later, but here. Mom busied herself arranging flowers, talking to fill the silence. Betty wanted to come, but she's tied up with a contractor. Such a nightmare. They ruined the crown molding. She's been crying all morning. I pressed the morphine button on my not for pain, but for patience. Where is Betty anyway? Dad asked, glancing around like she might pop out from behind the curtain. Probably posting about her crown molding crisis on Instagram, I said. Did you know her paint swatch story got more likes than my emergency surgery post? Mom's hands froze on the flowers. Amy, please. You know how sensitive she is. She's been so upset about your situation. My situation? I repeated. You mean my heart stopping? A knock at the door cut the tension. Matthew walked in, sharp in his suit, leather portfolio in hand. Mom's face lit up. She always hoped we'd date. Matthew, how nice to see you. Are you here to check on our girl? Actually, Matthew said, walking to my bed. I'm here as her lawyer. He handed me a folder. I opened it slowly, savoring the moment. Mom, Dad, you remember Matthew's my lawyer, right? The color drained from Mom's face. Dad's forced smile slipped. These are copies of documents I filed yesterday, I said, keeping my voice steady. I've removed you both from my will, revoked your access to my accounts, and listed the Texas vacation house for sale. The house. Dad stammered. But where will we go in the summer? Not my problem. Mom's manicured hand flew to her throat. Amy, you can't mean this. We're family. Family? I laughed, and the heart monitor beeped faster with my anger. Let me tell you about family. Last month, I paid Betty's $70,000 credit card debt. The month before, I covered her rent after she ignored it for 4 months. Last year, I funded her failed jewelry business. And what did I get back? When my heart stopped and I needed you most, you picked paint swatches over your dying daughter. That's not fair, Dad muttered. No. What's not fair is that I've spent my whole adult life as your backup plan, your safety net, your personal ATM. Well, guess what? The Bank of Amy is closed. Matthew handed them each a stack of papers. These explain the changes. I'd suggest reading carefully. Mom's hands shook as she flipped through them. This is ridiculous. You won't go through with it. Family sticks together, Amy. You know that. I looked her straight in the eyes. If that's true, then why did I almost die alone? The silence that followed was louder than anything they could have said. The house is already listed, Matthew said quietly. It should sell fast in this market. Dad sank into a chair, crushing the papers in his hands. Princess, please, let's talk this through calmly. I had plenty of time to think calmly while lying here alone for 4 days, I said. Did you know the nurses took turns sitting with me after surgery because they felt sorry I had no family here? Strangers cared more than my own parents. Mom's mascara started to smudge. You're being dramatic. We came as soon as we could. After Betty's paint crisis was fixed, I corrected. Check your priorities, Mom. Or better yet, check your phone. I'm sure Betty is crying over crown molding right now. Right on cue, Mom's phone buzzed. She looked down without thinking. Go ahead, I said. Answer it. We both know you will. She stood, smoothing her skirt with shaking hands. This isn't over, Amy. You're upset. You're not thinking straight. We'll discuss this when you're better. Actually, we won't. I pressed the call button. Nurse, I'm ready for my rest now. Security, arranged by Matthew, escorted them out. As they left, I heard Mom's voice crack. She can't do this. She's our daughter. No, I whispered to the empty room. I'm just the backup daughter you never wanted, but always needed. And I quit. The monitor showed my heart rate steady and strong, like it knew this was only the beginning. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. Betty's name lit up the screen. I answered out of morbid curiosity. How dare you? Her voice was sharp with anger. How dare you do this to Mom and Dad? Good morning to you too, Betty. How's the crown molding crisis? Don't you dare be sarcastic with me. They're devastated. Mom hasn't stopped crying. And Dad had to take a Xanax. I sat up straighter in bed. Funny how they have such strong reactions to consequences, but no reaction at all when I was actually dying. Oh my God, you're not dying. Stop being so dramatic. My heart stopped, Betty. Actually stopped. But please, tell me more about your pained emergency. She made a sound between a scream and a sob. You need to fix this. Call Matthew right now and undo everything. Or what? Or, she stammered. Or I'll never speak to you again. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. Is that supposed to be a threat? The line went silent. When Betty spoke again, her voice had that same fake shake to it, the one she always used to get her way. Remember when we were kids and you promised to always take care of me? A memory flashed, me at 13, Betty at 7. She had ruined my science project the night before the fair, pouring glue all over weeks of work. Mom blamed me for not sharing my supplies. Actually, I do remember, I said. I remember a lot of things, Betty. Like when I sold Grandma's ring, my only inheritance, to pay off your debt 4 years ago. Do you remember what you said then? Thanks, sis. You're the best. And then you went shopping with Mom the very next day. That was different. I needed. You always need. And I'm always supposed to provide. Well, guess what? I'm done. Mom wants to meet, Betty said quickly, changing tactics. One last family meeting to talk this through. I thought about it.
Fine.
Tomorrow at noon. Hospital cafeteria. Take it or leave it. She agreed, but I wasn't finished. And Betty, I'm bringing Jessica. Her voice turned sharp. Why? Because I'm done being outnumbered. The next day, Mom and Dad showed up first, looking tired. Betty swept in 10 minutes late, oversized sunglasses hiding her eyes, clutching an iced latte like it was medicine. Jessica sat close to me, calm but strong. She had known my family for years and had always been the one to remind me of my worth. Amy, Mom began, reaching across the table. Let's talk about this calmly. Calmly? Jessica cut in. Like how you ignored your daughter's emergency surgery? This is family business, Betty snapped.
Funny, I said.
I was family when you needed your credit cards paid. Dad raised his hands like a peacekeeper. Princess, we know you're hurt, but this revenge, it's beneath you. Revenge. I leaned forward. This isn't revenge, Dad. This is boundaries. This is me finally saying no. You're being selfish. Betty slammed her latte on the table, liquid splashing over the lid. Do you know what this is doing to me? My anxiety is through the roof. My followers can tell something's wrong. Jessica let out a laugh. Your sister almost died, and you're worried about Instagram. Stay out of this. Betty turned on her. This is your fault. You've always tried to turn her against us. No, I said firmly. You did that all by yourselves. Mom's tears came right on cue, soft sobs that had worked on me for years. We can fix this, sweetie. Just call Matthew. Stop. My voice was steady. The house is already in escrow. The accounts are closed. It's done. Betty shot to her feet, so fast her chair fell backward. You ungrateful, Betty shouted, grabbing her latte and throwing it at Jessica, who barely dodged it. The cafeteria went silent. Security rushed over. And that, I said quietly, is exactly why this is happening. As security dragged Betty out, her screams echoed down the hall. I turned to my parents. We're done here. Amy, please. Mom tried one last time.
No.
I'm being discharged tomorrow. When I leave this hospital, I'm leaving this dysfunction behind too. I stood, Jessica steady at my side. Oh, and one more thing. My lawyer is filing a restraining order against Betty. This is her first and last warning. Walking back to my room, Jessica squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded, lighter than I had felt in years. You know what's funny? My heart actually beats better now that I've stopped letting them break it. Behind us, Betty's distant screams mixed with Mom's sobs, the sound of consequences finally catching up. The Texas house sold in 3 days, well above asking price. I signed the final papers for my new apartment where I'd been recovering for a week. Matthew sat across from me, sliding a cashier's check across the table. For $0.3 million, he said. What are you going to do with it? First, I'm hiring an estate sale company to clear it out. Everything goes, including the piano. My hands hesitated on the check. The baby grand piano, my childhood refuge. Mom had given it to Betty on her 17th birthday, even though I was the only one who ever played. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Local woman removed from luxury boutique after fight with staff. The photo showed Betty being escorted out, mascara streaked down her face. Your sister's making headlines, Matthew said, peering at my screen. She always wanted to be famous. I forwarded the article to Jessica. She replied instantly. Karma's working overtime. The estate sale company came the next day. I watched on FaceTime as they cataloged everything, putting price tags on pieces of my past. The woman in charge, Susan, held up a small jewelry box. What about this? She asked. Inside was the empty spot where Grandma's ring used to be, the one I had sold years ago to cover Betty's gambling debts. Sell it, I said. Everything goes. Amy, a voice screeched off camera. Betty had somehow slipped past security. You can't sell Mom's anniversary china. Susan turned the camera. Betty was grabbing at dishes on the table. Should I call the police? She asked. Immediately. I watched as Betty was removed again, this time screaming about heirlooms and betrayal. My phone buzzed with messages from Mom. How could you sell our memories? Your father is heartbroken. That piano was for Betty. We're still your family. I blocked their numbers. Later that afternoon, Matthew called. His voice was tight. We have a problem. Betty tried to file for temporary conservatorship over you. She what? She's claiming your heart surgery left you unable to think clearly. Says your behavior proves you can't handle your own affairs. I let out a laugh with no joy in it. Let me guess. She offered to handle my money for me. You guessed right. Don't worry, it won't hold up in court. Make it expensive. I cut in. And Matthew, counter-sue for harassment. The estate sale began on Sunday. I watched through security cameras on my phone as strangers walked through the house, buying up pieces of my family's carefully staged life. The piano sold first, to a music school. Perfect. Then an email popped up from an address I didn't know. The subject line froze me. Your father's medical records. What is this? I asked Matthew on speakerphone. Open it. Inside was a single line. Dad had a heart condition too. Mom never told you. Guess she only loved one daughter enough to warn her.
H.
My chest tightened. Is this true? I had it checked, Matthew said quietly. Your father has the same condition. It's genetic. Betty's been monitored for it since she was little. The room tilted. They had known. They knew I could have inherited it. And they never told me. They protected Betty.
Not me.
Never me. Matthew. My voice stayed calm, though my hands shook. Remember when you said her conservatorship claim was ridiculous? Yes. Prove it. Give the court my medical records. Show them I'm not only capable, I'm stronger after surgery. Then leak the truth, that they knew about this genetic condition and kept it from me. That's nuclear, Amy. They almost let me die. Nuclear fits. We hung up. Moments later, another notification came through, a certified letter from Betty's lawyer. I opened it, bracing for threats. Instead, it was a photo. Me at 13, standing protectively beside 7-year-old Betty. On the back, in Mom's handwriting, my girls, forever inseparable. Below it, Betty had scrawled, remember who you're supposed to be. My protector. My sister. Don't make me destroy you. I sent the threat to Matthew, then opened my laptop. It was time to tell my story, everything. The years of control, the money they drained from me, the way they hid my medical risks. No names, just the truth. As I typed, I remembered something my grandmother once told me before she died. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop protecting people from the consequences of their own actions. My fingers flew across the keyboard. Each word was like a brick in the wall I was building between my past and my future. Let them rage. Let them threaten. I wasn't their protector anymore. I was finally protecting myself. The blog post went live at midnight. By 6 in the morning, it had over 169,900 shares. The Silent Sister, a story of family toxicity and survival, read one headline. I hadn't used names, but anyone close to us would know. Jessica called first. Have you seen Twitter? You're trending. I refreshed the page. Thousands of comments, most from people sharing their own family struggles. The phrase golden child syndrome was everywhere. Your mom's country club friends are buzzing, Jessica said. She had to leave her tennis match early because people were whispering. Then my phone buzzed again. Charles, Betty's on again. Off again, boyfriend. Your sister's losing it, he said without a hello. She's been screaming for hours, throwing things. I can't take it anymore. Not my problem, I said. She says you're lying about everything, that you're just jealous. I laughed. Ask her about Dad's heart condition. Ask her why no one ever told me I could die from the same thing that nearly killed me last month. Silence. Then his voice came back, low. Wait, they knew? Since we were kids, Betty was tested. I didn't even know it ran in the family.
Dylan.
I'm done. Tell Matthew I'll testify about her behavior, if he needs me. By noon, local news picked up the story. Prominent families' secrets exposed. A tale of medical neglect and financial abuse. They didn't use our names, but they didn't have to. Then Dad called. Princess, please. They want me to step down from the country club board. Tragic, I said. Almost as tragic as hiding the fact that your daughter had a fatal heart condition. We were trying to protect you from worry.
No.
You were protecting Betty from responsibility. As always. Your mother's devastated, he said. Our friends are finally seeing who you really are. Matthew called with updates. Betty's conservatorship attempt was thrown out. The judge actually laughed. But there's more. She sent a cease and desist letter, saying your blog caused her trauma. Perfect. Counter with the medical records. Already did. Her lawyer pulled the letter in less than an hour. I was looking over transfer papers for my assets when my email pinged. A message from Charles. Thought you should see this. She doesn't know I recorded it. The video showed Betty in her apartment, screaming at our parents. Fix this. Make her stop. I can't stand people looking at me like this. Do something. Mom's voice answered, shaky. Darling, we're trying. Try harder. I'm the one who matters. I'm your real daughter. The video cut off. I forwarded it to Matthew with one word. Leverage. Then my phone buzzed again, this time a text from an unknown number. A photo of my grandmother's ring, the one I had sold to bail Betty out. Missing something? The text read, Who is this? I typed back. Someone who bought it from the pawn shop. Want it back?
Meet me.
I blocked the number and called Matthew. They're getting desperate.
Good, he said.
Because I just filed the harassment suit. And Amy, the ring stunt? Amateur hour. I bought your grandmother's ring back months ago. It's in my safe. Tears stung my eyes. You did. Of course. I knew you'd want it back one day. That evening, my blog post made national news. My inbox filled with interview requests. Even Dr. Phil's team called twice. Then came Mom's voicemail. She was crying, yelling, apologizing, all in one breath. Please, sweetie, we can fix this. Tell everyone you were confused. Say you made it up. We're your family. I played it for Jessica over a glass of wine.
Wow, she said.
She almost sounds sincere. She's not, I replied. Listen carefully.
She's not sorry for what they did.
She's sorry they got caught. Another alert buzzed on my phone. Local socialite has public meltdown at charity gala. The photo showed Betty being escorted out again. Your sister's really going downhill, Jessica said. She's never faced consequences before, I answered. She doesn't know how. I opened my laptop and started typing, not another blog post, but an email to my realtor. Subject line, looking for properties in Washington. Running away? Jessica asked, peeking at my screen. No, I said, thinking of the ring waiting in Matthew's safe. Running toward something better. Right then, Mom's number flashed on my phone. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to pick up. Some bridges aren't meant to be repaired. Some fires have to burn until only the truth is left in the ashes. The family house looked smaller than I remembered. I stood in the driveway, keys in hand, staring at the colonial facade that had hidden so many lies. Want me to go in first? Jessica asked.
No.
I need to do this. I was here to collect the last of my things before moving to Washington. Matthew had arranged for police backup just in case. The cruiser parked down the street felt unreal, but necessary. Before I could use my key, the front door opened. Mom stood there, looking smaller without her usual perfect makeup. You brought security, her voice cracked. I brought witnesses, I corrected, nodding to Jessica and the officer walking up the drive. Dad appeared behind her. Princess, this is unnecessary. After Betty's latest stunt, I'd say it's very necessary. They stepped aside. Inside, the house smelled of desperation and Mom's Chanel No. 5, her stress-cleaning perfume. I'm here for my things, I said, moving toward the stairs. Just my childhood photos and some papers. Wait, Mom called. There's something you need to know first. I turned. She twisted her wedding ring, her usual sign she was about to manipulate. You should sit down for this. I'll stand. She looked at Dad. He gave a small nod. It's about your adoption. The word hung heavy in the air. Jessica gripped my arm to steady me. My what? You're not biologically ours, Mom said, voice unsteady. You're technically your Aunt Laura's daughter. When she died, we took you in. You were only 2. We never told you because we wanted you to feel like real family. The room spun. Aunt Laura, Mom's sister, killed in a car accident. She was my real mother. Dad stepped closer. We loved you like our own. Stop. My voice turned cold. You loved me like your own? You let me believe I was your biological child. You hid life-saving medical information because it wasn't genetic for me. You favored your real daughter while I paid her bills, cleaned her messes, and almost died alone. We didn't want you to feel different, Mom said quickly. Different. I laughed, the sound sharp. You mean the way you treated me differently my entire life? Heavy footsteps sounded on the stairs.
Betty appeared.
Oh, good. She finally knows she's not really my sister, Betty sneered. I'm not. I turned to her. Then I guess I'm not responsible for you anymore. All those years of guilt and obligation, they were never mine to carry, were they? You ungrateful. Betty started, but Mom cut her off. We gave you everything, Mom cried. A home, an education, opportunities. No, I interrupted. I earned every single one of those things while you spoiled your real daughter. I pushed past Betty and climbed the stairs. In my old room, I found the box I came for, photos, papers, and memories. At the bottom, wrapped in tissue, was a small frame. Inside was the last photo of Aunt Laura, my real mother, holding me as a baby. Downstairs, the noise grew louder. Betty shouted about inheritance rights. Mom sobbed about family loyalty. Dad tried to calm them all with talk of reasonable discussions. I walked down with my box. The police officer stepped closer. That's my baby album. Betty screamed, lunging at me. The officer blocked her. Actually, I said calmly, these are Aunt Laura's photos. My mother's photos. I'm taking what's mine and leaving what never was. You can't just walk away from this family. Mom grabbed my arm. I shook her off. I'm not walking away from family. I'm walking away from people who used me as a backup plan. That's different. We'll sue, Betty shouted. We'll take everything. Go ahead, I said, reaching the door. But remember, I have proof of fraud, medical neglect, and proof that you hid my adoption while using it against me. Let's see how that plays in court. The room went silent. I turned one last time. You know what's funny? You kept this secret thinking it would make me feel less like family. But knowing the truth, it sets me free. I'm not your backup daughter. I'm not your agent. I'm Laura's daughter. And I'm done carrying your burdens. Jessica opened the door, sunlight spilling in. Behind me, I heard Mom crying, Dad's weak attempts to comfort her, and Betty's angry screams. But ahead of me was nothing but open road and possibility. "Ready?" Jessica asked. I held my box of real memories close, feeling lighter than I ever had. "Ready." We stepped into the sunlight, leaving the shadows of their lies behind. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another lawsuit threat from Betty's lawyer. Let them try. I had the truth now, and I was learning truth was the strongest weapon of all. The Washington sun poured through my office window as I finished typing my latest blog post. My heart, steady and strong, matched the rhythm of the keyboard. And that's how I learned family isn't about blood or obligation, I wrote. It's about choice. Every day we choose who we let into our hearts. My phone lit up with Matthew's call. "The lawsuits are gone," he said. "All of them." The judge called them frivolous attempts at financial manipulation. "How's Betty taking it?" "Not well. Have you seen the tabloids?" I opened the latest headline. "Socialite's public meltdown goes viral. My sister ruined my life." The video showed Betty throwing drinks at paparazzi outside a Chicago restaurant. "She's trending again," I said. Not the kind of fame she wanted. "Speaking of trending," Matthew added, "your blog has over 1 million subscribers. The publishing deal looks strong." I glanced at the contract on my desk. My story, our story, was becoming a book. Not for revenge, but to help others living through the same toxic family cycles. Then a new email popped up. From Mom. The subject line, "Your father's birthday." Inside was a photo from our last family vacation before everything fell apart. Beneath it she wrote, "We miss you. Can't we just go back?" I clicked delete. The doorbell rang. Jessica stood outside holding 2 coffees and a small package. "Special delivery from Matthew," she said, handing me the box. Inside was my grandmother's ring, the one I had sold for Betty, the one Matthew had quietly saved. Now it was set on a new chain, turned into a necklace. "Matthew said you might want to wear it differently now," Jessica explained. "New meanings for new beginnings." I clasped it around my neck just as my laptop chimed with a new notification, a donation confirmation. I had just funded a year of free heart screenings for low-income families through my local hospital. The program was named after Laura, my real mother. "Your support group starts soon," Jessica reminded me. "Ready?" I logged into the video call. Dozens of faces appeared, people who had found strength through my story. We weren't just healing ourselves anymore. We were building something new. "Welcome, everyone," I said. "Today we're talking about setting boundaries without guilt." Halfway through the session, my phone buzzed. A text from Charles. "Thought you should know. Betty's trying to sell a story to the tabloids about your adoption. But don't worry, I sent them the video of her admitting to fraud instead." I smiled. Karma really was working overtime. Another email came in, this time from Dad. The subject line made me pause. "I'm sorry." Inside, he'd written I was wrong. We were all wrong. Not just about how we treated you, but about what family means. "You're stronger than any of us ever were." For the first time, his words didn't hold any power over me. I didn't need his approval or his apology. I wasn't that girl anymore, desperate for their love. The support group ended with our usual affirmation. "We choose ourselves today." "Look at your blog comments," Jessica said, pointing at my screen. One stood out. "I left my toxic family today. Your story gave me courage. Thank you for showing me that walking away isn't giving up. It's growing up." I touched my grandmother's ring, now resting on a chain over my heart instead of weighing down my hand. "Ready for dinner?" I asked Jessica. "The new Thai place has outdoor seating." "Oh, and I invited someone from your support group, the writer, who also survived family drama. She seemed cool." Outside, the sunset painted the sky in colors no paint swatch could capture. My phone buzzed one last time. Another rant from Betty about family betrayal. I turned off notifications and smiled at Jessica. "You know what? I think I'm finally done carrying their stories. It's time to live my own." We walked toward the restaurant, the ring catching the last rays of sunlight. Behind us, comments kept flowing on my blog. "You helped me find my voice. I'm choosing myself today. Thank you for showing us the way out." Revenge had started this journey, but it wasn't what kept me standing. What kept me standing was something stronger, the power of choosing myself. The power of building a life where love didn't mean sacrifice. My heartbeat was steady now, not racing to please others or breaking under their weight. This was freedom. This was peace. And it was sweeter than revenge could ever be.